Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the 11. So, mindset shift is about how you see productivity, how you see getting things done, what your mindset is as your stock, and that's what we are exploring today. But the series is called Stock to Finish, and we have been doing this for 11 days. So, we're almost there. And the amazing conversations we've been having have kind of enlightened me. I thought it would be a walk in the park, but it has made me rethink the way I see productivity and I see the impact of getting things done. As usual, let's have a mic check so you can hear me. Let me know if the audio is good and I will get started. Today's session is twofold. First part is about the mindset shift, what we want to do, about understanding how we can get unstuck, because sometimes being stuck is in the mind first. So, what is your mindset and how is it preventing you from excelling? How is it preventing you from accomplishing what you should accomplish? And how are you being held back because of the way you think? That's what we're going to be exploring today. The aim is to get you to achieve it. It's guiding you from finish what you started and to ensure that we are all making progress wherever we are. Hi, my name is DK Jonah and I'm the host of the Steadfast Creative, a podcast that is dedicated to helping people figure out how to get things done and improve their productivity by embracing their creative side. So today's conversation is on mindset. When I thought about this topic, because I looked at the old solution. The aim is at the end of the 30 days before we go into the event we're having on the 1st of July, you understand why you're stuck. And then we have a reset session where it's a paid event, you join, and you're able to get things done properly. Mindset shift. What do I mean when I say mindset? Most people are fail before they start. So most people, before they even get started, their mind has been made up that they are not going to succeed. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You have already told yourself, oh, I failed this time, I failed the other time. Definitely, I'm not going to succeed in this. I'm not going to excel. I'm the worst person for this job. You're telling yourself negative things about yourself and you are unable to make progress. So if you look at how you see yourself, what you think about, how you even position yourself, then you understand why you are where you are. So with mindset, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about how you can get unstuck. We're going to be talking about perception of ourselves, our past, and our future how our future significantly influences our productivity and ability to take action. Most actions are killed in the mind first before they even come to pass. So, what can we do to ensure that we have a thought provoking, transformative session that helps you transform the way you think, have a positive mindset, and get what's important done? However, since it's Sunday, we have our usual program, which is the week ahead. Now, with the week ahead, our concept is simple, it's easy, it's simple, it's straightforward. How do you plan for the week ahead? That's it. What's your plan for the week ahead? I will share my own plans with you. And boy, my list is long this week. I have no idea what I can't delegate or what I can delegate, because most things on my list seem like they're impossible for me to delegate. So I have to now manage my energy and figure out how I'm going to do things. So I'll be sharing today. I'll be like the guinea pig. It will be like a case study. And we're talking about the power of mindsets today. So let's get started. Well, the way, okay, mindset shapes our perception of ourselves and our abilities. So, what do you think about yourself? If I tell you, who are you? How do you see yourself? What kind of person are you? You're going to give me positive answers and say, oh, I'm an amazing person. But what do you say to yourself when no one is there? About your abilities, about your inabilities, about your strengths, about your relationships. How do you think about yourself? The impact of what you do and what you think about daily could affect your motivation and drive. So, we need to uncover strategies to cultivate a growth oriented mindset that positions us for success. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So, first things first, mindset, what we think about, what we do, how we feed our minds, and everything. That's important. But more important is the action we take and what you tell yourself. So I said I was going to ask you a couple of questions. Normally, the questions come in last. But let's start with the questions today. How do you typically respond to challenges or setbacks at work, Do you see them as opportunities for growth and learning, or do you tend to get discouraged and give up easily? As I always say, when you're giving your responses to these questions, it shouldn't be where you want to be, it could be where you are now. So, if you're looking at your typical self, your typical day, how do you respond to challenges? We're talking about mindset, so we want to know that. Do you respond in a positive way? Are you someone that whenever there is a challenge, whenever there are bridges burning, whenever things are not working, you're just looking for the nearest exit? And if that's where you are right now, that's okay, but that's not where you should be at the end of this conversation. You should be in a position where you're able to identify your triggers. I won't be able to identify every single thing, but I have picked a handful of things that I believe we should discuss when it comes to mindset. But should we begin by giving a definition of mindset? I'm going to give you a couple of questions. A couple of seconds to answer the first question, then we will ask the next question. Hmm. And I love this other question. So we've got 10 more seconds and we move to the next question. The next question is quite simple and easy, and I believe it's straightforward. But as usual, I want to get. Hi, Yemisi. Oh, Yemisi, it's so great to see you. Hi. Okay, the second question is simple, but it's simply this: how are your beliefs about your own abilities and intelligence? And what are your beliefs, rather, about your own abilities and intelligence? And as usual, please be taking notes so you can reflect on these questions later. You can even take a screenshot. A part of this question is cut off, but I will say it out. What are your beliefs about your own abilities and intelligence? Do you believe that you can develop and improve your skills with effort or practice? Or do you believe your abilities are fixed and cannot be changed? So, do you believe that now that you're an adult, it's impossible to change who you are? It's impossible to change the way you practice things. It's impossible to put efforts and skills in and improve yourself. Is that how you see yourself? That's the second question you're answering today. And I think this one has to do with our mindset on failure. So, I don't want it to become like a lecture where I'm just teaching. I want it to be something that you take home. And how do you see failure? Most of us see failure in different ways. Some of us are scared of failure. And when we fail, we run away from things. So let's look at you and your approach to failure. How do you approach failure? Do you see it as a stepping stone to success and learning, or do you see it as a reflection of your limitations? I remember growing up as an introverted introvert, I used to see whenever things did not succeed at failure as a reflection of my limitations. I only saw what I did not do. But I never saw them as a stepping stone till I got into my 20s. I didn't see them as a stepping stone to success and learning, because I think, what can I learn from this experience? So, what we are looking at is lived experiences that will help you change the way you see yourself. Remember, the aim is to get you from start to finish, for you to finish the goals that you set for yourself. For have that to have, and one thing we've said is most goals are killed in the mind before they even become reality. So you are setting a goal for yourself, and in your mind, you've already failed. You've already told yourself, I'm a failure. I can't do this. It's impossible for me to achieve anything. I do not have the skills. I do not have the abilities. I am not trainable. What are the words you speak to yourself that no one listens to? Today, you're speaking to an audience of one, yourself. You're answering these questions and you're looking for solutions to help you grow. So, by looking at how you see yourself, you can make changes today. Even if you have a limiting mindset or a fixed mindset that sees the things you do as not vital, by the end of this conversation, that shouldn't be the case. So, what's the next question that I believe should help you? Hmm. When we've talked about the attitude to work, this is one that should be taken into consideration. And it simply says, what's your general attitude to work? Do you approach it with enthusiasm, passion, and a positive outlook, or do you feel overwhelmed, unmotivated, or disengaged? And I think this is a good place for us to define what our mindset is when we're talking about mindset. And when we're talking about mindset, it refers to your beliefs, your attitudes, and assumptions about yourself, others, and the world. So it's the lens through which you view the world, it's the lens through which you perceive and interpret the events and experiences in your lives. And that's what you need to understand. what are the how do I interpret certain things that happen to me? How do I interpret the experiences? How do I interpret the influence? And our mindset influences our thoughts, our emotions, our behavior, and ultimately the outcomes that we have. And when we discussed in the past that being stuck, sometimes it's about you not seeing progress, you having limited beliefs about the way you should do things. And we said there are two types of mindset. There's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset is individuals that believe that their abilities, intelligence, talents are fixed traits that cannot be developed or changed. You sometimes you view your with a fixed mindset. This is what happens. You view your qualities as innate and unchangeable. So this is who I am. I have never been the smartest in school. I have never been the best in anything. I have never won anything. This is how I am. You feel threatened by the success of others. But there's another mindset to have, which is the growth mindset. And here, this is what you believe when you have the growth mindset. You believe that your abilities, intelligence, skills, talents, everything that you have can be improved through effort, practice, and learning. Well, you also see challenges as opportunities for growth. You embrace failure as a part of the learning process. And the truth is, with a growth mindset, you are motivated to improve and reach your full potential. Your mindset has impact on various areas of your life, including your achievement, your relationship, resilience, and overall well being. So when it comes to your mindset, what's one thing that affects people? And the first thing we think about is overthinking and analysis paralysis. We have a tendency to overthink, over explore, that we over analyze things, and it makes us get stuck and in a loop of indecision. And that's what happens. That's why you are stuck, because you are overanalyzing every aspect of every situation, and it could prevent you from taking necessary steps forward. However, what we're saying is, we're not saying that you would take a lazy approach. We're not saying that you would always look for shortcuts. What we're saying, or what I, the Cajun, and I saying is this: overthinking and an analysis could lead to analysis paralysis. That's a tongue twister. Analysis paralysis. And when you have analysis paralysis, you don't even see it sometimes. It could take somebody outside seeing the fact that you are over analytical. There are certain times you're meant to make critical decisions, but you just get stuck and you are in a loop. How do you get out of that loop if you don't know that you have this? So if you find yourself unable to make decisions, you are always overthinking everything, you've checked all the boxes, everything seems to be fine, but you just can't seem to make progress at all, then you may be having this. Another thing that prevents people or affects people's mindset is external validation. And most people are guilty of this. So, by being over reliant on external praises, external validation, you are seeking the approval from others. It could lead to self doubt and a fear of judgment. You're scared of what others will say about you, about your actions, about your inactions. And the fear of not meeting people's expectations can prevent you from making or taking steps and pursuing your goals. I've always said this, that most people are more or worried about letting others down than letting themselves down. So they will rather get the validation from people than get that praise for themselves. So they do things to get people's responses. So every action or inaction you take is based on others' perception. And that shouldn't be the way you live your life. You should live your life where you think about your personal development as a result of what you need, not what you think others need at that point in time or what others expect from you. Apart from this, what else happens? So, when it comes to mindset, we have to think about the power of perception. Your mindset shapes our perception of our lives and ourselves and our abilities. And this is something that I said earlier. So, when we recognize the influence and impact of our approach to work and task, that mindset impacts our approach to work and task, we need to change the way we see work. If you wake up every Monday morning, today is Sunday night, and you're already dreading Monday morning, you are already 18 tomorrow, you're like, why is Monday coming? However, for those in Nigeria, it's a public holiday, so you're good. And sometimes you are dreading the future that you don't even enjoy the present. You're just always upset. Oh, if I get into the office, what happens? What happens? What happens? And we fail to see this, that our perception has influenced the way we get things done. It has prevented us from taking steps forward. It has even crippled us. And to me, That's very, 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 very something that we should take into consideration. What's your perception of yourself? What's perception of the work you do? What is work to you? How do you define your work? Do you hate what you do, or do you actually love what you do? Do you talk about your work with this much vim and negativity, then you expect to see results? How do you why don't we take time to see that Mondays are there and they're always going to come and go? I work from home, so it's different for me. But for those that hate Monday, sometimes it could be impacting the way you see yourself or the way you see your work. So let's see how what else happens when you look at mindset. We also have to think about how mindset shift can enhance our productivity. So we've talked about the fact that our mind influences the way we do things. The way we see our work will impact the results we take. Before we take any action, the first step or the first action is taken in our mind. And when we tell ourselves we can't do it, we won't do it. When we don't believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams, believe in our work, we are not productive. We talked about respecting time. It's not just about time management, but when you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm someone that has never been able to manage time," that means that's how you're going to deal with time. So, productivity is about getting what's important done. That's our definition of productivity. What's your definition of work? So, two things you're thinking about based on the way you think. What is your definition of work as of today? Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be like that for the rest of your life. But what you're doing is you're looking at your perception of work now, not what you want it to be, because that's the only way to grow. That's the only way to make changes. When we are honest with ourselves, have honest conversations with ourselves, and deal with things in a certain way. So, I have one question that I believe will help us get to the next stage, and it's simply this. I'm trying to get the question into the chat. Let's see. What's your level of self belief? It's there. What's your level of self belief and self confidence when it comes to taking on a new task or pursuing goals or starting a new week? Do you feel capable and confident in your abilities, or do you doubt yourself and hesitate to take risks? So we're entering a new week. We're planning for the new week. We're like, oh, the week ahead is about planning for the new week, and we've merged this with getting on stock. But what's your level of self belief and self confidence when it comes to taking on new tasks or pursuing goals? Remember, it's not what should be your level. I'm asking what is your current level of self belief and self confidence? Because your level of self belief and self confidence impacts the way you get things done. It impacts your productivity, it impacts every area of your life. If you feel capable and confident in your abilities, you will do better. But if you doubt yourself and hesitate to take risk, it impacts the way you get things done. And sometimes you end up not even getting anything done at all. Just simply because you don't see yourself as someone that is capable of doing things. And that comes to overcoming self limiting narratives. So what is the story you tell yourself about yourself? What do you tell yourself about yourself? Do you tell yourself you're capable? Do you tell yourself that you have what it takes? Or are you someone that speaks to yourself in a way that is negative and is dragging? Do you see yourself based only on your failures or your inexperiences? Or do you see the great parts of yourself? Why are we asking all these questions when it comes to productivity? Because we identified something. We said motivation is not enough. Setting goals is not enough. People have set goals, they are motivated. The desire to do things is there, but there is something preventing you from taking the actions consistently or even taking the first step at all. And when you take the first step and you take the next step, you get stuck, you abandon the project. And it could be because of self limiting narratives that you've told yourself. So, what have you told yourself about yourself? So, I want you to identify challenging identify and challenge self defeating beliefs and narratives that you have about yourself. So we have to think about techniques for reframing negative thoughts and embracing a more empowering mindset. The first technique is what I'm telling you: honesty. Self awareness is important. You have to be honest with yourself. Where are you now? Not where do you want to be? So that is the first step. The first step to changing your mind is honesty. The first step to reframing negative thoughts is acceptance. Accept the fact that as of today, you have negative thoughts that are impacting the way you get things done. The technique, sometimes we expect rocket science, we expect it to be something glamorous, something that is very difficult to do. But the simplest things, simple things and the easy things are the most difficult to do. So it's simple but not easy. It's simple to say, sit down with yourself this night and do an audit of your way you talk to yourself. What's your level of self belief and self confidence when it comes to taking on any task, even if it's old task, new task? What is your level of self belief and self confidence? These are things that you need to overcome. And everybody says, oh, embrace a growth mindset, embrace a growth mindset. We all agree that we have to embrace a growth mindset. We all know the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, but what prevents us from embracing a growth mindset when it comes to work? Some people may have embraced growth mindsets in certain areas of their life, like their spiritual life, that's going on well. But when it comes to other areas of their life, they struggle when it comes to embracing a growth mindset. So, where do you stand? You have to understand that every single thing you think about impacts your productivity. Every single thing you do impacts your productivity. So we can talk about practicing resilience, embracing challenges. All right, thank you. We can talk about practicing resilience, embracing challenges, and seeing setbacks as learning opportunities. But until you take the first step, you're not going to do that. So we say, oh, some people are resilient in the wrong way. You are resilient with your negative mindset. And that's not what we want. We want to have a growth mindset, a mindset that sees the potential in things, that sees possibilities in things, that doesn't only look at the negatives. Most of us, especially women, we are good at talking ourselves out of things. We are too good at underpricing ourselves. And now we go for a conversation and bid higher. We are very, very, very different. So then we have to be intentional about guarding our hearts, guiding our minds, ensuring that we're feeding ourselves the right things and having honest conversations with ourselves. You're speaking to an audience of one, yourself. In order to align your mindset with goals, you have to speak to an audience of one, you. Don't do this for me. Don't do this for the person that is listening with you. Don't do this for anybody but for yourself. So in the maybe I think on day 60 we're going to talk about goals, but I just want to say this about goals quickly. We have to evaluate our mindset because it influences goal setting and goal achievement. So there's a difference between setting goals, we've talked about that, but when it comes to achieving goals, one thing that greatly influences it is your mindset and the actions that you take consistently. So we are looking at setting realistic and inspiring goals that align with your mindset, the way you see yourself, the way you've positioned your mind, what you're telling yourself. And if you feel that I'm struggling with the way I see myself, then there is a way out. You have to now start feeding yourself with the right things. You have to shift from a problem focused to a solution focused thinking. And this is what I mean by that. There's fuel scarcity or something, or let me think of a productivity one. I have 19 days. I'm going to use myself as an example. Okay, I didn't plan to do this, but I have 19 days to work on a project. 19 days. Now, the problem is I had told other people to work on this project and it didn't go the way I wanted because I said I have so much control. I wanted to get other people's perspectives on board. And since we're not done now, we've gotten to the end point when it's 19 days and we have nothing. So rather than looking at the problem that is, I don't have a website, I don't have anything for this workshop that I'm hosting, what I have decided to do is I have decided to think positively about it. What can I do in 19 days? What are the things that I want to accomplish? What are the things that I can do in order to fix the problem? What is the problem? What are the solutions? What are the risks involved? I had to have an honest conversation with myself. By harnessing the power of positive problem solving, I've been able to think about a way to actually get it done. I've been able to delegate and bring someone else on board to help me out. So I had to bring Tobichuku on board and say, you know what, I'm struggling with this. The team is struggling with this. I want to be the creative. I don't want to be the manager of this project because I can't play both roles. So I had accepted the role I can play and I'm playing that role well. Now, if I had gone with the, we have only 20 days as of yesterday and we've done nothing and started panicking, every other person on the team is going to panic. Now, think about situations you found yourself in and think about your own case study. Look at your life. Are there things you should have done differently when you faced a problem? Is there a problem you are going to face at work when you get back to the office on Monday or Tuesday that you think having solution, a problem focused to solution focused thinking will help? Moving from a problem focused to a solution focused thinking will help. What's the problem? Identify the problem. Don't be in denial, but think about the solutions. And that is one way to start. One way we have a mindset shift is about not being in denial. We can't be in denial. We have to face reality, but facing reality doesn't mean abandoning ship. It means that we have to pay attention to the way we see ourselves. We have to pay attention to our minds. We have to pay attention to what we do daily. And it's not just something that is in a textbook that is theory. It has to be something practical because it's a lived experience. It's a lived experience. If I think about the fact that after I decided not to do a PhD again because of my health, if I had abandoned everything and said, okay, I'm not doing a PhD again, oh, that's the end of the world, I won't be where I am currently. I won't be where I am. I'll probably be, I don't know. But what I decided to do was change the way I see myself, change who I surround myself with. So I was intentional about what I did, what I fed myself. As I was learning, I positioned myself to win, and I just positioned myself to try every day. Doctors are surprised, everybody's surprised. How are you able to accomplish this? How are you able to write two books? It's because I spent hours, days maintaining my mindset. And it's not something that was a quick fix. It's something that starts daily. And from the days go to the weeks, and from the weeks, months, and from the months, years. But you have to be consistent. You have to have a daily practice. So, what's your daily ritual and practice to maintain a positive and productive mindset? As a Christian, prayers. So I started writing out my prayers. I had this prayer journal by Val Murray. So I write my prayers and then I add another prayer journal that I got. So writing down my prayers helped. I didn't even know that that was a form of journaling. So because I couldn't express my words, I realized that I needed reassurance. Laura Casey talks about the fact that we should keep our goals in focus in front of us, and by every goal add a scripture. So that's something else I started doing. So I started incorporating mindfulness techniques into what I did, but I did it from a perspective that will work for me, not against me. So for you, it may be different. You may be Christian, maybe Muslim, you may not believe in God, but look for ways to incorporate mindfulness, gratitude, and reflection into your routine, especially that reflection. There are so many times that we get to the end of the road or the end of the year and realize that we've been feeding ourselves and believing negative things about ourselves. So once in a while, when you do your morning pages, that's something that Julia Cameron recommends that we do. That you free write for 15 minutes, 3 pages, just keep writing and get the thoughts out of your head. Sometimes our minds are too busy that we are not able to focus on anything. You are busy being busy because there are so many thoughts in your mind that you've not been able to let out. So pour it out, do a brain dump, think on paper, pour your thoughts on paper. And that's one way I incorporated mindfulness. People talk about deep breathing. I struggle when it comes to that. It's a big struggle for me to sit down and just start breathing. So what I did was I found a Christian podcast that is guided meditation, cultivate connection. And you can find what works for you because I tried tapes, I tried other things, it didn't work for me. I tried nature, it didn't work for me. Be willing to try things more than once and find out what works for you. But a daily practice of gratitude and reflection in your routine changes the way you see yourself completely. And for me, it's not just about thinking about one day, it's about understanding that every single thing I do daily counts. So your daily questions can be different from your weekly questions. So today we'll look at the weekly questions because we're doing the weekly recap. Today is all about the week ahead. So we're going to spend the last 15 minutes talking about the week ahead, which helps us plan for the new week by reflecting on the past week and then looking forward to what we want to see, what changes we want to have in the new week. I'm not sure if I have those slides up, but if I do, I will share them. If not, I will just speak to you freely today. But what's your weekly routine like? We have this weekly routine on Sunday where we come together and ask ourselves questions. So let's get our pen and paper together. so we can write a little bit for our weekly practice. And the simple question is, how are you doing today? That's a simple practice. So you're going to answer the questions. I give you 30 seconds and then we move to the next question. And then we're able to look at the achievements for the week. Most times, when you want to read, when you want to write, when you want to do any meaningful work, this is my recommendation: do a brain dump. Just sit down and do a brain dump. Pour your heart on paper and just express it first. Clear your head. When you've cleared your head, you can then answer questions. So you are not thinking about 10 million things at the same time. So the first question I asked was, how are you doing? And I don't mean when you're answering this question, because we are being mindful, we are looking at our mindset, we are being intentional, we are practicing gratitude, we're reflecting. So we're being honest. So honestly, how was your week? You're not, don't just write five. Tell us how your week went, or tell yourself how your week went. What did you like this week? What were your highlights of this week? What are the things you did not like this week? What were your experiences? What were your greatest achievements? Just express your, what are the things that made you giggle? What were the memes that made you giggle? What were the things that got your attention? So you're writing about your week. You're reflecting on your past week because you want to plan for the future week. And I think last time I gave a worksheet. It should be one of the chats, but let's continue. The next question we're asking ourselves is, apart from how are you, what were the things you said you were going to do last week? And did you do them? Now, if you see there's a repeated pattern of you making commitments to yourself and you're not committing to your commitment, then there's a question you have to ask yourself is, how well do you want it? Do you really want this? No, do you like the idea of it? Sometimes we like the idea of doing certain things, we actually don't want it. So you have to look at your priorities. You have to look at what you're delegating, what you're carrying on. Maybe you're carrying on too much for the week, but we'll look at this time after time after time after time after time. We'll keep looking at this until it becomes something that is a ritual. So your routines turn into rituals, things that come naturally to you. So, next question. So you said, how was your week? What did you do last week? What did you say you were going to do that you did not do? So this is looking at your commitment to your commitment. The next question is simply this. What's your plan for next week? By this time next week, what would you have loved to achieve? What is your plan for next week? So what's your plan for next week? By this time next week, what would you like to achieve? So when if you and I are having this conversation next week, what's one thing you want to have achieved? One thing I want to have achieved is at least gotten the registration page for me running by the end of Wednesday, and then have people that have registered. I want the whole registration process, the email process, every single thing that I need to do for this the resets. I want it all done. I don't want to be in the same place. But I'm doing daily accountability on TikTok. So follow me, DK Jonah. I do daily accountability for my task on this retreat or this reset. All right. Now, you're looking at your plans for this week. What's one thing you want to learn? Last week we talked about learning goals. So what's one thing you want to learn this week? I am learning on public speaking, so I have a couple of videos that I want to watch. So I'm adding these videos to my calendar. So when I want to watch them, I just click on the link. I don't need to start looking for them. That's my own way of getting things done. I told you that my list this week is long. For example, I have 3 podcast interviews, 7 live sessions, one podcast recording, one. Now that I'm saying it out, I'm just thinking out, I'm still thinking about how I'm going to do it. One podcast recording. I'm not writing any article this week, unfortunately. I will have to leave that to another week. So that's one. Then one class on Thursday evening, one improv class, 2 client calls. I think that's about it. So basically, it's a busy week for me. Now, if I don't plan all these things and put them in my calendar, it's not enough to have a to do list. Now, you're going to take a few minutes to put these activities on your calendar. What time do you want to learn? So we're just looking at your learning goal, because you may have other things that you want to do. But if you want to learn something, if you want to read a book, if you want to watch a video, if you want to take a tutorial, if you want to do something meaningful, a learning goal, put it on your calendar. Just put my learning time. I call it, you can call it study time, reflection time, learning time. Put something on your calendar, at least one day this week. We started with one day for the first month, and eventually we could increase it. But the aim is simply this: let's learn something new. There are new things coming up. You don't need to learn everything, but this thing that you are learning is something that will equip you for your own self development goal. It's something that would improve you. Remember, we're looking at having a mindset shift, shifting the way we see ourselves, resolving in our hearts to see ourselves from a positive light and not just look at the negatives. We're looking at the way we change, how we manage stress, how we manage criticism, our aspiration, our goals, and all these things. And we know it starts in the mind. We know, yes, imposter syndrome is true, it's real. We know perfectionism can help limit us or hold us down. We know that the pursuit of excellence in every single thing is not realistic. We know that sometimes we play a role in our mindset because of a lack of discipline. And we've talked about these things in different capacities over the past couple of days. So I didn't want to overflog these issues. But this is what I will say. Having this meeting and this reflection time with yourself for the audience of one is vital, because it prepares you to succeed, it prepares you to excel, it prepares you for the new week. So as we're going into the new week, what's your learning goal? I've set my learning goal. I've set a time for my learning goal. No matter what, even if it's 10 minutes, 10 minutes every week for 52 weeks adds up more to 0 minutes. Sometimes when it comes to learning, we have this mindset that we must put in 5 hours before we've learned something. Sometimes it's not how long, but how well. Your ability to focus and put all your attention on what you're doing is what makes the difference. It's not about reading 52 books, but it's about applying what you're doing into your lives. So we're looking for ways to change the way we see ourselves, change who we blame or hold accountable when things don't go well, learning to take responsibility for our actions and inactions, understand that we have to track our progress and hold ourselves accountable for our mindset goals. No one else is going to help us out. We need to be intentional about what we do, what we say, and what we share about ourselves. So, mindset shift. It's about understanding that these limiting beliefs exist. It's understanding that perfectionism and imposter syndrome could come. But it's what you tell yourself about yourself consistently that will stand. So we talk about the power of positive affirmation. We talk about the fact that self-discipline helps, having reflection times, reminding yourself of your goal, reminding yourself why you do what you do. All these things, but the most important person in this equation is you. Are you willing to do what it takes, even if it's a minute a day, to change the way you speak about yourself? Are you going to write positive statements about yourself, positive affirmations? You can look at the Miracle Morning. I know it talks about affirmations, and it talks about affirmations you can write about yourself and speak to yourself every day. You can pick up scriptures and speak those scriptures to yourself. Whatever works for you, but you need to speak to yourself in a way that brings the best out of you. Your mindset changes who you are. Most goals die in the mind because of doubt and unbelief. The fact that you don't believe that you are capable of doing what you can do. Your skills and talents are not in you for a joke. Your skills and talents are in you for a reason. So it's about embracing who you are. And it's unique, it's different, it's you, it's yours, it's no one else's. So mindset shift is important. Changing the way we see ourselves is important. Self accountability is important. Be accountable for your actions, your growth. Do not outsource your growth. But yet we can have techniques for tracking progress and holding yourself accountable to your mindset. And that comes back to the reflexive exercises that you're doing. I don't want to give you a million reflective exercise, so I gave you a daily one and a weekly one. There's also a monthly one, but we could discuss that another day. We would definitely do that. And my own heart's desire is simply to see you transform your mind. change the way you see yourself, change the way you see productivity, change the way you see time. Stop saying that, oh, I don't know how to manage time. That's what you think. Oh, I lack discipline. No, that is just who I am. You are able to transform yourself. You are able to accomplish your goals. You're able to get unstuck. Remember, we've defined someone that is stuck as someone that has a chronic habit of not completing what they've started. So we call it chronic because that's lasted for more than 6 months. So it's not acute. It's not an acute problem that can be fixed easily. It's something that may be ingrained in your mind that has to be fixed. So we have to look at mindset and time management. We have to look at mindset and so many other things. And that brings me to the end of today's talk. You can get unstuck. It starts in the mind. The mind is powerful. So, what are the things that you're going to listen to ensure that your mind is empowered? I am listening to podcasts called Cultivate Connection that helps me cultivate that connection with God. That's what I have chosen to do. What's your choice? What are you going to do? Write it down. Don't just leave those thoughts in your head. It's time for us to take action and take action frequently, consistently, and intentionally. You can't outsource your mindset shift. You can't wait for external validation. You can't wait for others. You just need to start. Start small and do it. But just do it. But thank you so much for joining me today. Tomorrow is another day. And I think this week we're going to try the evening sessions to see how those go. But tomorrow we have a session again at 9 p.m. And we are looking at strategic incompetence. How do we move from mindset to strategic incompetence? Well, that's for me to know and for you to find out tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining me today. Join me tomorrow, same time, 9 p.m., as we discuss strategic incompetence and how this could take you from stock to finish once you're able to discover what it is. But I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think strategic incompetence is? I'm excited. I'm curious. Send me a DM, DK Juna, on Instagram, and I'll respond. All right, then. Cheers, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.